Okay, welcome to another episode of Pomelo Pitch Deck here on the Generate EOS channel. I'm your host, Jimmy D. And yeah, interestingly enough, in the introduction to our last episode, which happened, a mere 30 minutes ago, you and your project actually came up as being an enabler for the EOSB. So how coincidental is that we get now to hear about you and what you've been doing since the last season, what you've been building for the community. Welcome, Mark Stair, for anyone who doesn't know, one of the OGs, I think, in the EOS space. One of the first people that I remember ever kind of charting the path for me to be able to get cryptocurrency on Twitter, and now expanded to a bunch of new networks. So for people who don't know, Mark Stair, who are you, what do you do, and what is Tipit? Take it away.
Yeah, I'm Mark Stair. I'm one of three members of the Tipit team. So I handle sort of the funding and ideas management, stuff like that. And then we have a front end developer called Ben, and back end developer called Gilser, also known as John. And together, we've been working on EOS pretty much since the launch. When EOS came out, we wanted to figure out how could we make an impact, and we looked at what EOS was and some of the barriers to getting people into EOS, and that's when we came up with Tipit, with the main purpose of making it as easy as possible for people to get involved in blockchain in general, but specifically EOS IO type chains. And so out of that came Tipit, which I'm sure I'll talk more about in a bit.
So basically, I think you guys are across 7 or 8 different platforms now. You kind of, if I recall correctly, like you allow for people to plug in and reward in various cryptocurrencies through, I guess, verified accounts in a sense, on Twitter and Reddit and a few other platforms. Now, why is this important for the mass adoption of cryptocurrency, and how can it help? Because I think people might not understand the relevance here of how this can help to empower and plug a community into something that they might not generally see a use case for if they're not big investors or big tech heads or things like that.
Right. Yeah. So Tipit is on 3 chains, so Wax, Telos, and EOS, obviously. And we're also on, right now it's 3 social platforms. We were actually on 5, but we put 2 of them on hold for now. So we're on Telegram, Twitter, and Discord. And we've already built out both GitHub and Twitch as platforms as well, but we weren't getting enough usage out of those platforms to support them. So we just kind of put those on hold. We're not on Reddit yet, but we are getting feedback from the community that they want us on that platform. And so the relevance is that one of the barriers of EOS is that you have to get an EOS account. But of course, to get an EOS account, you kind of need EOS. So you get this like chicken
Right.
and egg situation. There's been various attempts, to allow you to buy those accounts through credit card and things like that. But still, there's quite a bit of barrier to get in. With Tipit, we call ourselves a social wallet. So you don't need anything except your social login. You just can receive tips right to your Twitter, Telegram, or Discord account, and you need absolutely nothing. So there's probably thousands of people out there like Elon Musk and things like that probably have a Tipit wallet and don't even know it, with little bits of tokens. and we support over 80 different tokens. So every time there's a new community, usually they'll come out with a new token or something like that, and they'll ask us to support that token in our platform. And as long as it's one of those Wax, Telos, or EOS platforms, we can support that pretty easily the way we've architected Tipit.
And
So
I didn't actually know about this until Jesse brought it up on the last episode. But now you guys have plugged NFTs into this in a certain sense as well, right? Which I think is super exciting.
yeah, and that's a really good Pomelo story as well that I like to talk about. Is that Pomelo season 1 was when we came up with the idea to try to support NFTs in addition to tokens. And so we did that pitch, and went pretty well, and we implemented the NFTs. And we worked with artist Byron to create a zombie Valentine thing called the Conjoined Heart, which was awesome.
Right.
And we didn't really know necessarily where that would go. But the next step was season 2, where we took that technology and says, okay, now what do we want to do with this NFTs? And that's where we came up with the idea of membership NFTs. And also we kind of re-architected our system a little bit to allow extensions, so we could easily add little modules and things like that, which we hope will be an enabler in the future. So now we had these two technologies, and then we met with Jesse. And I think what Jesse, I just listened to the YouTube right before this, and it's almost understated in some sense what he's doing. I haven't seen a new advertising and promotion system since Google Ads. And if you know the story of Google Ads, they almost went out of business. They almost didn't get any IPO money because they didn't know how to monetize this thing. And then they stole the technology from Overture, and then Google went crazy. I think EOSBs is that innovative. Actually, I'm super excited about the bees and what they're doing as such an innovative way of promotion and advertising. And we've got all kinds of ideas where we could go with this, and other brands. If you look at EOS as a brand, then there's a lot of possibilities for other brands. And so we were able to take this membership NFT idea and implement that for the bees to give them membership. And I think he's got like 7 different member levels. And those members can get anywhere from like 0.1 EOS, like 10 cents, all the way up to like $2 or $3 worth of EOS just by retweeting. And that depends on how many followers and stuff they have. So he's got all these members and his different ranking and things like that. And then you have to be a member to get paid out through this campaign system that we had before. And we adapted that and fine-tuned it for Jesse. And it's been pretty exciting since he's gone live in the last month or so. We've had to boost up our architecture and hitting slowness and things like that. So we had to put a lot of effort into both supporting his unique needs and ramping up our architecture as well to support it.
Yeah, I like it. It's really cool. I think how a lot of the Pomelo projects are kind of, working together and plugging in. So definitely, I think for what you guys are building, it can be, an added value to networks, kind of across the board. I think the ability to not only reward people, but the ability to promote, I think, through NFTs is really exciting, right? Like, a lot of times what we do is we say, go onto Twitter and tag 5 people and retweet and send this, right? I mean, it's okay if you do that. I mean, I'm not going to be angry, but I stopped engaging with that because it's a little bit annoying. Honestly, personally, right now, if I go and I read a post and I learn something about some new artist, and then I check my wallet and all of a sudden I've got an NFT that's a piece of art. That's way more exciting to me, right? Like the ability to be able to, plug into not just tokens that people will sell, but like almost little pieces of history,
Yep.
right? Like as a person who's looking at creating an NFT line myself, with my show, which I haven't done yet. Part of the reason is it's like, what use case does this have? And the ability just to be able to reward a certain number of people who follow me on Twitter or engage with me in Discord, in our community channel. Like that's really exciting to me because now you've got something that could potentially be sold, but you've also got something that like could potentially be, put there and kept there. And I don't know. I mean,
And our campaign system that the bees use can also distribute NFTs directly to all your fans as well.
mm,
So the way it works is you create your NFT either on Tipit or Atomic Assets or wherever you want to create it.
mm,
Create a collection, and then you can upload that entire collection of, like, let's say 100 NFTs or something. Run a campaign, either members or not members, probably not members, to begin with, just to get people engaged. And if anybody, let's say, retweets, they could just immediately get that NFT right into their Tipit social wallet, their Tipit wallet.
so
And then
that's pretty cool. You don't actually have to go in and send it. It's just kind of plugged into the system as it exists, which is really
and it requires them to, somehow engage in that tweet where you're going to be distributing those NFTs out. And NFTs are amazing in terms of it's not just the initial charge or whatever that you might sell your NFTs. You could give them away or something like that, and then make money on residual if they just keep selling and selling and selling. So I mean, there's so many models available for NFTs that they're
right.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
Well, like the EOS is great. Don't get me wrong, and I know some people are trying to build NFTs on EOS, and Telos is doing their own thing, which I think is really cool when you look at them, and their interactions with other blockchains beyond the EOS IO. But I think one of the most underrated projects is Wax in terms of NFTs and what NFT Box has provided with blends. That's huge. If you're an up and coming influencer, an up and coming project, like you said, you could plug into Tipit. You could give these away for free, and then you could use them as blendable items to actually get a whole piece of art, right? Like I think that there's a lot of potential here, and you can only really do that. I think I could be wrong. You're the expert, but you could only really do that on a blockchain that is like EOSIO, right? Like
Yeah.
doing this on Ethereum doesn't work. Like it's too costly, it's too expensive, right? Just to mint them is expensive, right? So, I guess what are the advantages of being on EOSIO? I mean, you're on 3 chains out of a few,
All EOS IO chains. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's impossible to do this on most other chains. I mean, first of all, the costs alone on Ethereum would require us to have VC funding and all kinds of things like that, which we don't need right now. Just all we really need from EOS actually is we do that auto power up that John Heater from Boyd created, EOS Power Up.
Mm.
And it's costing us about 5 cents a day to run Tipit. All the CPU, we've just maxed it out. I could
Right.
probably cut that down even if I wanted to, but it's only 5 cents a day. So that's all we need for the chain itself. And of course, we use a little bit of RAM for the token listings and things like that, but that again is pretty small. The most important thing about EOS IO is the half a second response time. I used to be involved in user interface designs for wireless products with Motorola and stuff like that. And one of the things they say is if you can get a half a second response time, it's about at the level of human, humans understanding that as being pretty much instant. And there's this half a second thing. As long as you can do everything in half a second, to users, it feels instant. So, if you tried to tip any other platform other than EOS with a half second, you're going to wait so long before you get any response, wondering if it went through or whatever, that kind of thing. So,
Right.
I mean, EOS is just, it's everyone talks about the B1 thing and stuff, but here we are 4 years later, and EOS IO is still the best technology.
Right.
Solana goes down all the time, got a hack recently and things like that. This is the best technology right now. And, there'll be a few more in the future, maybe fractally and stuff, and we'll be able to add that chain easily once it's ready. So, but it's going to be at the EOS level or better.
Yeah, so I remember back in the early days of Tippet and how it was structured, and I mean, it's not easy as an up and coming company to build things for other people, because you have to go out there and you have to promote that what you're doing is going to help them, and you have to kind of make enough revenue to keep your bottom line in business, and at the same time, especially when you're not getting any funding from the network itself. So how has the Pomelo grant system enabled you? Because I know, like, for some of your season 3 goals, which we can see on the screen here, right? Expand Tippet membership and rewards capacity, and new ways to fund rewards, work with communities to build features they need, and add tokens as requested. These are 3 kind of pivotal things to what you guys are building. How does the Pomelo grants enable you to do this as maybe a lower cost alternative than what you would not be able to do without Pomelo grants? Is that a factor at all?
So we're a bit different than probably any other company. We're not really so focused on the money right now, because we look at blockchain as the long haul.
Right.
Right now, blockchain in general is like 0.1001 of the entire financial market that it could be, right? It's
Mm.
so small, but it has the potential to be the entire financial market, from tips like Tipit or something, spending little amounts of money like the bees and things like that, all the way up to NFTs that are representing some $10 million condo or something like that. These are all possibilities that could be done with the blockchain and EOS and things like that. And we're lucky in the sense that we have another company that sort of pays the bills, right? And then we have extra development time that we could spend on Tippet. So we we um, we are in this for the long run, and what we wanted to do was be in the ecosystem, engaged and developing continuously as this market is being developed. Because one of the most important things for any startup is not the funding or the people involved or anything like that. It's the timing of the idea at the right time in the right place. And the timing, for one small example, is having our technology ready exactly when EOSBs needed it, and we're able to come out with a solution for them. That just was miraculous in my mind. And those opportunities will come along later. So back to the Pomelo, we're so grateful of every EOS we get from Pomelo, and we didn't get a whole lot for season 2, even though we did a ton of work. So we would definitely like to get a little bit more love from the Pomelo donations. I must be honest about that. But either way, whether you fund us or not fund us, we're here for the community and going to keep building on EOS and coming out with solutions that are going to benefit the overall ecosystem and move us towards blockchain solutions away from centralized federal government, junk. So that's
some of you out there might know that like I go online sometimes and I tell people what I'm grateful for. But occasionally I also tell people what I hate. Now, I don't hate America, but there's certain things about America and every other country that I hate. And one thing that I really dislike about America and other countries who use tips is that I think it's ludicrous. Now, imagine 10 years in the future when the cryptocurrency market is big enough that everybody has this on their wallet. Now, what happens to the whole scenario of so I'm going to go out into left field here, but I think this is really interesting. What happens to the whole scenario of tips when they're no longer required for service? What happens when, if you want to tip someone, you do it through Instagram and you do it by, making a social post, for example, right? About the place that you're there, because people already do it. They go and they stand and they take a picture on Instagram and they hashtag somebody. What happens when you hashtag somebody? That plays into a tip that you actually get that actually would double as a tip for, the restaurant staff who served you, right? Now, we're not quite there yet. You guys haven't built that yet, right? But I think you're at the forefront of building something that could actually be implemented into mainstream society where people wouldn't even know that they're using cryptocurrency, right? Like when the EOS market develops as a whole, where we get to that point where it just becomes a back-end thing where it automatically transfers to your local currency that you can pay for your goods and services in, and then those goods and services are rewarded through things like tips on both sides. That, I think, is a game changer. And I think what you guys are developing on the core ground is going to be the forerunner to so much of how we interact, in the world. I think that's what's fascinating about this.
I have a few comments on it. Tipit is not just for tipping.
Right.
We just think the name is cool because it goes backwards and forwards, that's the first thing. That it's just the simplest tool. It's a simple name, Tipit.io. Everything about Tipit is simple. The little logo is a little bot, simple. Everything's simple. We're trying to say blockchain is simple, and we're actually looking at, and this kind of plays into our other company a little bit, is a thing called Tipit Pay, which allows you to simply pay any invoice with any kind of payment system, whether it's credit card, PayPal, Google, Amazon, or EOS. And one of our ideas is let's rank out what is the cost of each one of them. So let's say I send you send me an invoice for doing this thing. There's no charge, of course, but let's say you send me an invoice, and now I can pick which way I want to pay. Now, if you look at this with credit cards being 3%, right. Takes 3 days to get into my the merchant's bank account, and risk of return. It's crappy. It's just such a piece of junk. With EOS, right, I could get you that money into your account in half a second for almost no costs at all, and no risk of return. Now, if we negotiate, you said, hey, you know that thing was broken, I'll send you a new one, right? I'm going to give good customer service or whatever. Here's what I think, a little different than the tipping thing you were talking about, is it's almost like that hockey stick thing of adoption that we're going to hit at some point with blockchain. imagine this. Imagine that. Imagine that your landlord would start taking EOS for rent, or your mortgage company would accept that. And imagine that you could now be paid in EOS for things. And imagine that you could, so you've got to look at both ends. Most cryptocurrency blockchain is all about investing, mooning the tokens and stuff like that. But we're missing the two main pieces. One is earning money, and then being able to spend that money without moving back to fiat. Okay.
Right.
Now, I'm going to go back to the bees a little bit. They found a way that people can earn money, earn EOS through the blockchain. Okay. Now, what some of those people are doing in Africa is they take the EOS, they immediately withdraw it and put it over, or sell it to some local currency that's being handled by some local, small local people and stuff like that. And then they could go buy bread, right? But it's not going to take much to move that from. It's going to be taking move a mountain, but conceptually, it's not that much. If EOSB talks to the merchant, who maybe also is an EOSB, selling bread, right? Now they don't have to switch that EOS back to fiat. Now it can stay in the system. And I'm not talking about stay within Tipit system, just overall blockchain. It could be in Tipit or wherever. When we get to that point, this whole thing is just going to moon up.
Right.
Everyone's going to use it because it's so much better. It's like one of the one of the companies I worked on before with Digital Camera Network, and you're going from film to digital cameras, and it was slow. People didn't think the quality was good enough, and blah blah blah. And then boom, like try to find a film camera now. It's only the professionals. So almost everyone is now digital. That analog to digital transformation is going to happen. And everyone that's early, like Tipit, EOSBs, Jimmy D, Geno EOS, and the block producers, everything are going to be there for that switch over. I'm just looking forward to that day. Yeah.
A good friend of mine, he's a big fan of wax. He actually got his local cafe bakery to start taking wax, right? And so that, in a way, it kind of closes the loop. Now, another thing that I'm a little bit crazy known for is my idea about, it's become a running joke on another channel I have, but my running idea about coupons. Now, what's interesting to me is that because it is a running joke, but I'm 100% serious, right? We can have the ability potentially to go back to almost a barter system, which sounds crazy, but it would work with cryptocurrency, right? Because what happens when inflation no longer affects the price of bread? What happens when you can use an NFT for bread that stays in the system, that you can redeem at any time, or you can give to somebody else for an NFT that has milk, right? And so it sounds crazy, but this is one of the biggest problems. This is one of the biggest problems with cryptocurrency, is that we have this moon bust cycle, right? But with the ability to reward people in NFTs that could potentially be redeemable, right? With the ability to close that loop, as you said, again, I think like what you guys are building here is going to be
let's really quickly take your idea and do an example. Is I love Tillamook ice cream, and it happens to be a co-op also. So I would, and let's look at the bees doing swarms and stuff. I would gladly retweet a Tillamook ice cream thing in order to get an NFT coupon through Tipit right into my Twitter account. And then I can go get, $1 off or a whole thing of ice cream.
Tillamook of it.
Yeah. And so the NFT coupons plays into that. The promotion stuff that Jesse's doing could play into it. Like any brand that you love, you could do like a swarm type thing or get some kind of benefit out of it, some NFTs, and we could handle we could adapt. We probably have to do some things here and there, but we have the technology ready when Tillamook or Oscar Mayer sends out free wiener to NFTs and things like that. Coupons are an obvious one. Tickets are another obvious NFT possibility. Those cards you have to fill out when you buy something, some equipment or something. I mean, that could be an NFT. And then when you sell, the piece of equipment, it goes off to the next person. And then
like a warranty card, even
warranty
right?
card. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's
Something
what I'm
like
talking
that.
about. Yeah.
And I think
there's so many ideas.
Yeah. People might not know this about you, but like one of the reasons that I first got to know you, like beyond Tipit, was you're a bit of an environmentalist, and you've plugged into a lot of ideas that I studied as well. Gener EOS, based in Australia, right, the home of permaculture, and one of the staples of permaculture, besides just developing ecosystems that are designed to sustain themselves. If you go further down into the mantra, it looks at local businesses and local economies, and how do you design these so that the resources are maximized within the system, right? What's interesting about this is I think a lot of what you're talking about, a lot of what you guys are aiming to do, is on a grassroots level, local, but you've plugged it into these massive, giant, global corporate mechanisms that could still take the benefit of that, small town, hometown economy, cyclical economy, and plug it in, right? And like you said, it's just waiting to be optimized. It's there, being used by 0.0001% of the population who actually uses EOSIO, right? As opposed to 0.1% of the population that uses cryptocurrency, and open the floodgates of one or two or three of those big corporate giants and see what
I actually believe in the next wave is not so much barter. It's not even clear that barter was ever a real thing, but what was a real thing and which could become a real thing again is the gifting economy. So I give to you, and it plays along a little bit in the tip thing, but the gifting economy is very exciting. If you and that's what Pomelo is all about, is a gifting economy. People are giving Tipit some grants and money, so we can keep building and doing exciting things. So I think that could be an amazing thing, and humans are going to be the solution to everything. We're not the scourge that a lot of people say. We are going to be the solution, because I think we could switch when this thing switches to a new money system. It's also going to switch to new thinking around gifting economies and things like that, and helping each other more.
Yeah, and I think that's in the forefront of how technologies like EOS was designed, right? And I think that's really interesting. So I know you wanted, sorry for the motion sickness there, I just realized my battery's gonna die. I know you were thinking you might want to share your screen. Is there anything that you'd like to leave us with before we drop off today?
If you still have time, I could do some quick demo. Is that?
Yeah, I got all the time in the world for you, Mark. Go for
Okay.
it. Throw it up and let's have a look.
Okay, let's see.
All
right, let's see. Screen one. Let's try this. All right, so I want to go to this and try to find.
All right, there you go. Take it away.
All right. So first of all, here, Jimmy, here's one of your tweets, Jimmy, a little while ago. So all I got to do to gift you something is say dot tip 10 joy. Thanks for the pitch deck session. Okay, and then I reply. That's all you need to do. Dot tip. Tipit reads .tip and gives that to you. And let me look real quick here. I got it. just as Felix's thing. Now you can see here that you've already got your token. Now that's in your Tipit account, so you could withdraw that into your EOS account or something like that. Now you just have to talk to TipitBot, whether this is on Telegram, Twitter, whatever, Discord, and you just say .bell. These are all my tokens that I have. I have tons of them. Or .nft, and that shows you all your NFTs that are there. So I'm going to give you this Zodiac Miller NFT also. So I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to go here and say .nft Zodiac Miller. So it's basically doubles as the name of the NFT, and it also does the hashtag, so could help that, you know, go viral or something like that. Here's your first Tipit NFT.
It might be. I'm gonna go look.
So you might have a bunch, yeah. And again, that's gonna pop out, and you're gonna get that as well. Now, while that's happening, let me just go over here to show you the EOSB stuff a little bit. This is a swarm that is going to pay out in 9 hours. So the way we do this is when there's a swarm, we want this to be very transparent that these people are being paid, and you'll see all that coming in. And here's one that recently came out. So this is the Buywire News one that they're going to reveal the identity of Satoshi. So we've got that link there. And here's everyone that's paid out. So you could kind of see here's 2.43 there. They probably have a lot of followers, 0.09 and so on throughout this. Look at how many people there are. Chris Barnes is on here. You can see all this stuff. And one of the things when started work with Jesse was I didn't realize all these influencers were going to jump on like this. There's Felix there. And it is just an amazing tech that Jesse came up with. I'm just so grateful for that. So that's pretty much it. And then when you want to withdraw your tokens, you could just go over to Tipit and say .poll, put in your, you could say withdraw as well. That's my my EOS account, and I'm going to do 10 Joy tokens, and then it just will confirm yes. And now that's in my that'll be in my my EOS account. So very, very simple. And then now we go back to the response here, and let's see if that. I think oh, here it's. This is the one that I sent you. It's. I think Ben put this together. He likes doing memes. He's one of our developers.
No, that's great. I like
Anyways, you got this Miller or whatever. It's for fun, you know, and that kind of thing, but it could be serious as well. So
well, and so again, what I like about it is like I can withdraw that, but I don't have to. You can just stay there.
Well, better yet, you could pass it on. You know, somebody that really likes this dude, you could pass the NFT to him and keep moving it around just for the fun of it. I think it's we think Tipit is fun, and that's
right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the simple demo. There's not too much to it. There's a lot more to doing the campaigns and things like that, or setting up memberships. I won't get into that today because we've gone over. But yeah, it's
well, like honestly, this is a Pomelo pitch deck, but I would love to have you come back at some point and maybe even do like a workshop on how people could set up, you know, Tipit with their kind of organization or their project or their network to be able to utilize it and engage with other people and just maybe run through some troubleshooting ideas about that. I think that would be really interesting. And, you know, half of it is about the funding, but the other half of it is about the education, right? So I think like once people realize how simple it is to use, because it really is, it's not difficult at all, right?
Right. I mean, you didn't have to have an EOS account or anything at that point. Yeah. Our new tagline is Tipit grows community, and communities grow EOS.
Right.
And we really believe that because, EOSBs is a community growing and growing and growing, and bringing in people that have might never even heard of blockchain too much
Right.
before that. So he's bringing in like new people, and made it easy enough to get them onboarded and learn the whole thing. Now, one of those people has a cart selling Cokes or something like that, and can start accepting EOS in his cart. Why not? I
Right.
mean, then we could make the shift so quickly. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this whole space, and how EOS has made this transformation of kicking B1 out. And I'm almost glad about B1 being out, because I always was worried that we would come up with some idea, and then with B1's $4 billion, they would just crush us. But
Right.
that's totally gone now. I feel so relieved. It's like having I've never been through it, but it's, a divorce or something like that. It just sounds like it was a bad breakup, and we're done with it. Let's just get rid. They're out of there, and we can move on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great that like the technology is still around. That's the benefit of it being open source. I mean, you guys were around, in the Block One era, but you're still
Yep.
here after, right? You're
Yep.
still doing your thing, right? So,
Still just chugging
um,
along. Yeah. And back to your thing about another session or something with some communities or something, go into the detail of that. That'd be great, and then maybe even bring on somebody that's looking for something along those lines.
we could
How
maybe
do
even
I build
bring
my
Jesse,
community?
like we could maybe even bring Jesse on together and do that.
Yeah, and
Like,
we could go
as
through that in more detail. Sure.
would be kind of a cool little thing what you guys built for them. So.
Yeah.
Definitely, thank you. Go over to the Pomelo Pitch Deck. I think I put it on the screen. Reach out to Tipit if you think what they're building has value. Drop an EOS or two in there. It definitely helps, them grow their platform. And I love the fact that like you're here to support the community, even if you don't get funding, right? And so I think that that's just really awesome. So thanks, Mark, for joining us. Thank you to you and your team for everything you're building. And I would say dive in, play around with it a little bit. If you have any questions, right, like you can find them on their website, or all the links are on the Pomelo Pitch Deck. But if you're out there and you're a community and you're looking to build something that engages, even on a very small micro financial or NFT level, definitely reach out, because I think one of the things that you guys are most interested in is figuring out new ways to build stuff for people who want to use it. So definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, and we are, our other company too is we do custom development for people. So if you've got an idea, not sure how to make it happen, maybe you don't have the tech, the developers to do it, come to us and let's see what we could do for you. And let's realize your ideas.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. Thanks. I'll be back in about an hour with, I think, support, maybe, or some other project to do another Pomelo Pitch Deck. Thanks all for joining us.